Batman and Robin number 15, written by Peter Tomasi, art by Patrick Gleason. This is a Death of the Family tie-in, and it's a very strange read. So we open up with Damian apparently being put on monitor duty now that Alfred has been taken hostage, and he's not happy about it. Obviously, he wants to be out there trying to track down Joker and help his dad. And he's sitting there talking to Titus, his dog, and he's like, yep, while Batman's so focused on finding Joker, perhaps I can be the one that finds Alfred. So he does some detective work, and he looks around trying to find something that could trace down the Joker, but he knows there's probably not going to be much of anything. But he does come up for a very specific urine sample, which for some reason it's apparently a hyena urine, but I don't remember that being from the issue. But regardless, he goes to the zoo because that's the only place in Gotham that hyenas would be. So he breaks in and he goes to the hyena exhibit, and he sees that they're feeding on human remains, and he's like, oh god, is that Alfred? Turns out it's just a security guard, which doesn't seem much better. But the hyenas though are rabid. They start to attack Robin. He manages to make an escape, and he's just like, nope, I hate the zoo. But it turns out there was a toxin on the fur of the hyenas as he was beating them off. So he crashes down into the aviary and passes out. And when he wakes up, he is coming out of a giant robin's egg that Joker is swinging from a trapeze bar in, and has his face currently on upside down. And he's like, oh, you thought that the hyenas were having the butler for dinner. Isn't that a funny joke? So he jumps down, he turns his face right side up. And then the rest of this issue is kind of just Joker's philosophy on how he feels about Robin to a Batman. He just goes off for like 10 straight pages of like, you make him worse. You make him so he is not all that he can be. And Damian, he's not playing into the game. He's not falling for any of Joker's stuff. But he does just keep saying, like, just tell me where Pennyworth is, and I'll only hurt you a little bit. And he shows Damian a video of Alfred that we heard the audio to before. And Damian's like, yeah, for that, I'm gonna go ahead and break Batman's no-kill rule, because that's not my rule. I'm going to do that. So he's ready to kill Joker over this. And they keep on talking more and more, and Joker just keeps on telling the exact same thing of like, you make him so much worse, blah, blah, blah. And so finally it comes to the point of like, all right, here's the deal. I know what your fear is. And he pulls this lever, and all of these grubs and worms and stuff start coming down and basically suffocating Damian, who's chained up at this point. And he's like, your fear is that you will be responsible for Batman's death, but Batman's fear is that he'll be responsible for yours. So let's see what happens when we force you to deal with that. And all of a sudden, out of the grubs comes a Jokerized Batman, and he's like, your father figure, because he doesn't say dad directly, but he's like, your father figure is going to try to kill you, and you're going to have to get over the fact that you don't want to kill him. So, yep, that's the issue as a whole. It's I know I explained it very quickly, but it is actually a very dense read. Not in a bad way, but the philosophy of it, where they just keep going back and forth, it's dense. What I do want to point out, though, is Patrick Gleason's art. He has drawn the Joker in a different way than I have seen throughout this entire event. And it's genuinely horrifying. Like, I thought Capullo's stuff was, like, very nasty, and it is. But, like, this is straight up, because of the way the inks are done, like, horror. Like, it's an unsettling, you can't see the eyes. Some of the times you can't even see the teeth. It takes away all the stuff that you consider to be, like, the Joker, and just makes it this dark nothingness inside. So, it's creepy. I really do want to give the art credit on that. But when it comes down to this issue as a whole, it's the issue of I'm only feeling this way because I've read all of the other tie-ins, and the Joker in every other tie-in is saying the exact same thing of how Batman needs to work alone. If this were the only one I was reading, I think it would work fine. I don't see any issue with it at all. But because I've heard this thing by this point at least 4 times, it's just kind of like, yeah, I get it, and you're not adding much new to that conversation. But if I ignore that stuff and judge the issue just on its own merits, I'd probably give this one, I'll give it a 7. Art is fantastic. Writing is good. Again, it's really hard for me to move past that I have heard this exact issue before, like 3 times, but it's solid the whole way through. It is a decent issue. So I give it a 7, and I believe next issue is still tie-in territory. So, oh, and we got confirmation that he did actually run the Saturn Club from last issue, which I didn't get any confirmation of, but yep, he did. So, yippee.